Were 2,000 Tanzanians killed in post-election violence that critics say tightened President Samia Suluhu Hassan's grip on power? Well, that's the allegation from the main opposition party, Chadema. No one can confirm the exact figure, and the government is disputing the number of deaths. Many foreign journalists have been shut out, and most local reporters can't speak freely. So to keep people safe, our reporter in Nairobi, Edith Kimani, has been analyzing what we do know and what social media reveals. A warning, some of the images you're about to see may be disturbing.
In a small room somewhere in Tanzania, a 32-year-old is in disbelief. He still can't make sense of how he got here, bedridden with bullet holes in his legs. The man, who does not want to be named, went out to fetch water when it happened. Police shot him at his doorstep the day after the elections.
I found myself on the ground. I looked at my legs and saw I was bleeding. That's when I looked up and saw the police, who were aiming down at me. If my upper body had been in a different position, I think they would have shot me in the head.
Juma, as we're calling him, is still shaken. He's also traumatized and understandably cautious, initially refusing to speak to us, convinced we were intelligence agents. He's agreed to tell his story so people can know what happened. The full extent of the violence after the disputed poll is still unknown, but clues have been emerging, like these images that appear to show armed men using violent force against protesters. The exact number of the dead is still unknown. Some rights groups say it could be in the hundreds. This resident tells us what he saw.
I heard loud sounds, pop, pop. It was gunshots. I stood and saw a body here, a body there, another one there in pools of blood. I felt so confused I couldn't even run. It's true that people have died. Many people have died. I witnessed it with my own eyes.
The government has yet to address the alleged killings. 2 weeks after the election, life in the largest city, Dar es Salaam, resumes cautiously under a watchful state. While recording this, a team filming for DW was stopped multiple times by armed police. But Vice President Emmanuel Nchimbia insists all is well.
The government of President Samia Suluhu Hassan has taken steps to restore unity in the country. Now our country is calm and everyone is following the rule of law.
But under that law, nearly 400 people have been charged with election-related offences. Among them is TikToker Jennifer Jovin, also known as Niffer, who's been accused of treason for posting this video. In it, she asked her followers to buy masks for protection against tear gas on election day. Reports suggest detainees are being abused.
It's not even a secret because we made presentations in court that they've been tortured, very serious torture. Some exhibit outward signs of injury.
As Dar es Salaam, or Haven of Peace, tries to reclaim its name, so too does Juma with his life. It's not so easy. Any slight movement causes pain, sending him back to election day.
Right. Testimonies like the ones you've just heard are rare. Many Tanzanians are too afraid to speak out, fearing for their lives. That's why the words of Archbishop Jude Thaddeus Ruwaichi in Dar es Salaam on Monday were so striking. During a funeral service, he condemned the killings and called for urgent healing in Tanzania.
Our nation has been wounded. It has lost its dignity. Because of what transpired during the week of the general election. It has not only lost its honor, but also its people. Citizens who were unlawfully killed. There are people who were killed while demonstrating. Yet the punishment for protesting is not death by gunfire. There are also those who were killed in their own homes. They were pursued and murdered right inside their houses. In no way does this reflect the true Tanzania.
So we reached out to the Tanzanian government, but did not receive a response. Authorities have warned that anyone sharing images or videos of the dead will be charged with treason. The UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk says there are signs of a possible cover-up, citing claims that police removed bodies from mortuaries. A UN spokesperson called for an urgent investigation.
There are disturbing reports that hundreds of protesters and other people have been killed and an unknown number injured or detained, and that security forces have been seen removing bodies from streets and hospitals and taking them to undisclosed locations in an apparent attempt to conceal evidence.
I am now joined by Isabel Brenda, Senior Democracy, Governance and Elections Advisor at Governance Hub Africa. Hello, Isabel. Welcome to the program. Now, the UN Human Rights Office is warning that potentially hundreds of people have been killed. Tanzania's government rejects this. What are you hearing from your sources on the ground?
It's very heartbreaking what is happening in Tanzania. To make matters worse, the government is trying very hard to conceal the numbers that are coming from the grassroots, especially from civil society, activists, grassroots organizations, community-based organizations, religious organizations. Even if you look at the number of people that are going to bury their kin, there are people who apparently were in hospital and they're missing now. There are people who are in mortuaries and they're missing.
The UN is calling for investigations. Do you think there will be credible investigations into election-related killings and other violations?
The United Nations is calling for investigations, but for credible investigations to happen, at least the people on the ground, and I would imagine the civil society organizations, the hospitals, should be able to share the correct records of what is happening. But if the data or the information that is on ground currently is compromised, I honestly do not believe that even if they make it into the country, they're going to get accurate information. Also, allow me to add that with the gagging of the media and the civil society organizations, and also just threatening the public, we saw the Inspector General of Police in Tanzania threatening the public with the imprisonment in the event they're going to share the images of the people who perhaps have been maimed or shot dead, and they're going to be charged with treason. So you can imagine the kind of fear that Tanzania has right now is crippling. And now it is up to some of their friends from Kenya who are helping them expose some of the madness that is happening in Tanzania. It's quite unfortunate, Eddie.
It sounds unfortunate what you're saying. I mean, look, how can the international community push for accountability? Because that is needed, right?
Yes. I honestly feel like they're going to have a very big challenge because the government of Tanzania is not showing any signs of cooperating with the international community, because I think the President Samia Suluhu is working tooth and nail to maintain that she was legitimately elected. And now the aftermath of the election has brought a lot of crazy ramifications for Tanzania. And also a lot of that is affecting the East African community because of the kind of crazy trade issues we are having with Tanzania currently.
Right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. You mentioned her name, President Samia Suluhu Hassan. She came into office with promises of reform and dialogue. How have recent events affected democracy and society as a whole in Tanzania?
I believe that they are now awake, because Tanzania is not a country where people normally are very vehement in finding out, you know, how are you using our taxes, demanding for accountability, how are you spending this money? We don't remember approving this type of projects as citizens. So now Tanzanians are paying attention to, I think, what is very important, because I believe that now the President Samia Suluhu, legitimate or illegitimate, she's going to have a very hard time ruling. I will call this ruling because it's not leadership, ruling Tanzania, because now they're asking questions, you know? So I believe in terms of Tanzania is woke, for lack of a better word. Tanzania is woke right now.
Right. I mean, it's not just Tanzania, is it? We've also seen violent crackdowns on protesters in Kenya and Uganda. Let's just to highlight a few. I mean, Kenya's president recently defended his, quote, shoot in the leg order during Gen Z protest, while Uganda's president, Museveni, admitted detaining 2 Kenyan activists, saying they were, quote, put in the fridge. What does this kind of language tell us about how these governments view dissent and activism?
I think that's a very important question, Eddie. We have been saying this in East Africa, that we are seeing a close collaboration between oppressive regimes. I think our leaders are using, we are literally experiencing and living through authoritarian regimes. East Africa, for the first time in history, is being flagged for this kind of issues. But I believe there's a reason for this. Normally, I think my generation, the millennials, normally we are the people that pushed for the reforms in the constitution. We push for strengthening of institutions. We push for accountability, but normally we're very civil. Now, the Gen Zs, if you look across the world, you can see these protests and uprisings everywhere. And it can also sometimes get to levels where it's threatening regime change. So this is why when authoritarian regimes are coming down so hard, but what they must realize is that this young generation is not going to calm down. I think if you look at the whole world, they share a mindset, and it goes back to, these are the people who are raised in the digital age.
Right.
So it's going to be very difficult for these authoritarian leaders to continue doing what they're doing. I thank God that at least in Kenya, the different arms of government works, especially the judiciary is one of the institutions that Kenyans rely on whenever we are oppressed. But now if you look at Tanzania, there's nothing, an election just happened. It was clearly not free and fair, but then there's no dispute resolution mechanisms. You cannot run to any court.
Right.
Uganda, the same thing, So at least in Kenya, we are saying the judiciary having strong institutions is helping in pushing back. But in the case of Tanzania and Uganda, I can only pray that they get, stronger constitutions that can protect their rights.
Right. Isabel, Brenda, Governance Hub Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eddie.